Ishank, we are live. You can start playing the videos.
Simply change your physical scenario. Why do I say that? Okay. The reason why I say that is because most of your perceptions are formed by the input which you receive through your five senses, right? Something that you hear, something that you watch, something that you feel, something that you smell, or something that you say out loud, right? So, or something that you eat which reminds you of a particular stress trigger in your life, right? And out of these five senses, guess which is the sense or which is that particular organ which is attributing to 80% of your perception? Your visual senses. The negative thought. Most of us tend to remain negative and become negative simply because we entertain whatever comes our way, right? We entertain it and we tend to believe it to be true, right? We never question it that why am I feeling so overwhelmed? What is this thought? Why has that thought occurred in my life? Is it really my thought or is it a reflection of somebody else's thought, right? And is mindfulness, taking a pause and questioning yourself. What am I doing? What am I thinking? Are they both same or not? If they are not same, simply bring yourself back to the here and now. That is number two. Number three is question the negative thought. Most of us tend to remain negative and become negative simply because we entertain whatever comes our way, right? We entertain it and we tend to believe it to be true, right? We never question it that why am I feeling so overwhelmed? What is this thought? Why has that thought occurred in my life? Is it really my thought or is it a reflection of somebody else's thought, right? And simply, you don't have to entertain it. Simply tell it, thank you for being there, my dear thought. I allow you to leave me now. Simply talk to yourself and talk intelligently to yourself. That is the third way. Do not entertain each and every negative thought that comes your way. Start questioning it, start probing it prudently. All right. The fourth is um, change your physical state. The moment you feel a sense of overwhelm, the moment you feel stress attacking you, the moment you feel repeated negative thoughts, maybe about your placements, maybe about the job opportunities, maybe about a friend saying something, bad about you in your back, or whatever are your stress creators, the moment you get into a loop, right? Loop about thinking about these thoughts over and over and over again, change your physical state. Change your physical scenario. Okay. If you're sitting, simply move and start taking a walk. If you are walking already, then simply walk to another place. If you're watching something and if something has been bothering you on the TV channel, simply flip the channel. Don't switch the TV off because then it'll tend to stay with you more and more. Flip the TV channel, move on to something which is light and entertaining. Simply change your physical scenario. Why do I say that? Okay. The reason why I say that is because most of your perceptions are formed by the input which you receive through your five senses, right? Something that you hear, something that you watch, something that you feel, something that you smell, or something that you say out loud, right? So, or something that you eat which reminds you of a particular stress trigger in your life, right? And out of these 5 senses, guess which is the sense or which is that particular organ which is attributing to 80% of your perception? Your visual senses. Whatever you see through your eyes tend to impact your perception 60 to 80 times more. Okay? And therefore, changing your physical scenario is one of the key ways to get over the negative feeling that you have. So these are 3 or 4 things that you can do in order to deal with negativity.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
hope that helps your viewers.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. So there was a question by one of our audience. Ma'am, you said that you will explain about it in the end. So the
Sure.
question is how to cut down screen time. Ma'am, I tried so much, but anyhow, it feels like FOMO and the loop continues.
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I think it was Shraddha Patil who had asked me. She's one of our students. Right. So,
Yes.
Shraddha, the way to cut down on your screen time is to start little by little. You know, do not just get into the thing about screening, you know, about cutting it off completely. Start with 5 minutes, move on to 10 minutes, move on to 15 minutes, move on to 25 minutes, and then move on to 2 hours or 3 hours more. Okay. There's another thing which I want to tell you all, right? Now, this is one of the most dangerous things that not just people in your age group, but people in my age group are also dealing with. There is so much of the world which is there in your telephones that you can't think of living without your phones anymore, right? They are overtaking our lives. The virtual screens are actually overtaking our lives, right? Therefore, first is simply decide. Decide, you know, the moment you tell yourself that no, not watch Netflix is the most important thing that you will do. You can't just let go of a habit if you don't have a replacement for that. In that particular time in which you will not be watching your phone, what will you do? List those things out. Number 2, the second step is simply moving out. Okay, changing, you know, when you need your phone, you basically watch your phone because it is there in the proximity. It is there right next to you. That is the reason why you're watching your phone or using your phone, right? Simply create a distance and a friction between you and your phone, right? Don't keep it with you all the time. When you're about to sleep, keep it in the other room, right? And spend 1 or 2 hours maybe meditating, maybe reading a book, maybe talking to somebody, or maybe just doing anything other than watching your phone. That is one way. Tell yourself to create a certain morning ritual which does not include looking at your phone. Create a morning ritual. So your evening times and your morning times are pretty much settled. Now, in the middle, that is one of the best ways to start with this particular habit of eliminating the screen time. Okay. Now, when you think that you don't want to watch your phone, what is the next best thing that you can do? Figure out those particular activities which will be helpful and which will be engaging to you than watching your phone. Maybe read a book, maybe move out in the nature, taking a walk in the nature, maybe listening to music for that matter, right? Listening to music not on the phone, on something else, on your computer for that matter, without that WhatsApp thing there in the computer. Cleaning your cupboard, right? Doing a dance routine, singing something, using a
selection process. About happiness in life. Consider that everything that we do about life and everything that we do in life is all about eventually being happy. Happiness is the ultimate goal of life. Levels of happiness could vary, but the higher the level of happiness, the best it works.
Favorite line that I always, love to talk about, and something that I love to use on myself is also that, there is nothing that can't be worked on, right? Everything in this world, almost everything, right? Almost everything is something that can be worked on, could be, developed, right? Could be improved. We as human beings have such amazing capabilities and capacity that once we identify a certain thing, we can definitely try to improve on the same.
If you're really, if it is paining you, probably it's not your strength area, it's a weak area, right? If maths pain you, probably maths is not your strength area. If you love talking with people, maybe communication is your strength area. So some of these things, you will know it yourself. Further, apart from that, do ask your friends. Please ask your friends, what do you think I'm really good at? And they will tell you, rattle down those 3-4 things that you're really good at. Ask your parents. And sometimes parents also tell, मेरा बेटा इसमें से बहुत अच्छा है, मेरा बेटा मैथ्स में अच्छा है, मेरा बेटा दोस्तों के साथ बहुत अच्छी तरह से रहता है. They keep telling these things oftenly without you noticing it. So whatever they repeatedly tell about you, good about you, is your strength area, right? So ask your teachers. Teachers observe you. They see your scores, they see your habits, they see your behaviors. Based on that, they will tell you what you're really good at. Second
So
thing,
what are the changes that's happened? Things that are looking very different is work from home may continue to be a way of life, because organizations have realized, people have realized that nothing, there are lots of things that can be done as well from home and possibly better. And those professions will perhaps continue to enjoy the benefit of working from home, if I might call that. Education and training have already gone digital, but there's a lot of scope of improvement. And with that, there would be a lot of training of the trainers that will come into play. We perhaps will not have to travel so much from work, because earlier we used to just take a flight for a 1-hour meeting to Chennai, or for some training session to attend in Dubai. And that's definitely
the way I look at analyzing work, or an analogy to work, is more to do with your mind, where you do your all logical things, your aspirations, everything is logical.
The message here is, we all have our starting points, we have our journeys, and we have our destinations. So today it might look like we're not headed anywhere, but in the end, it will all work out. So there's no need to be disheartened at all, and it is absolutely fine to be an average. The second part of the story goes where it comes about finding your own mojo. While I was an average student, I ensured just one thing. I kept my desire to learn and keep that fire inside of me ignited. Whether it was traveling, meeting new people, or even exploring new cultures, it was all about upskilling myself for me. Although while learning, I didn't really know where that was actually heading to. But then if I were to look back and think and connect the dots, I have the job that I have today only because of the skills and knowledge that
The Time Tracker app is designed to know where and how can your activities be revised and your time can be used effectively. In the Time Tracker template, you're supposed to input your activities and the amount of time you have spent on them. Statistical data will be provided on the basis of that, which will help your mentors to take further action. The benefits for working professional are identifying if you need changes in your time management to optimize results, helping you get clarity on goals and creating new ones if needed, identifying what creates positive energy which can be unleashed for you to maintain your work-life balance. The benefits for university students program are identifying if you need changes in your time management to optimize results, helping you identify and work on positive energy creators in your schedule, events, and people as well. Identifying areas for productivity, success, and happiness. The benefits for school students are identifying if you need changes in your time management to optimize results, helping you get clarity on goals and creating new ones if needed, helping you drive the areas of right association, acts, and creating right energy for your preparation, as well as eliminate areas where you can save time and be more productive in your work schedule.
24/7 chatbot access program is designed to help you sort some emergency access and avails you the 24/7 support system with qualified counselors.
The chat box is open to our learners at all times. You can clear your doubts and queries by simply dropping a question here, and we will try our best to answer them as soon as possible and to the best of our ability.
Benefits of the 24/7 chatbot access for working professionals are: it makes your life easier, it makes you stress-free, it helps you to avail expert advice which will help you in life to go further. Benefits of 24/7 chatbot access program for university students are: it helps you minimize the exam stress, it helps in finding out the life goals. Benefits of the 24/7 chatbot access program for school students are: it helps to reduce stress during exams, and it helps to access counseling sessions and different webinars at Mentor Mitr.
Environment Questionnaire, a set of questions designed with the aim to know the basis of an individual and works as a base for further action.
This is the questionnaire section. Here, you will be required to provide a few basic information about yourself, such as your current educational status, your future goals, etc. This is just to draw a precursory sketch before you begin your journey with us and our mentors.
The benefits of the environment questionnaire for working executives is knowing your version and work towards making it better. Gap analysis is done to find right solutions, understanding and identifying your needs from the base and working towards it, as well as knowing and identifying your goals and what needs to be done next. The benefits of the environment questionnaire for university students is knowing their version and making it better, bringing you from the zone of concern to the zone of comfort, assist you adequately using your environment and support system, as well as recognizing the needs from the very beginning and working on the same. The benefits of environment questionnaire for school students is knowing their version and making it better with an external expert view, help them leverage their environment and support system to drive them correctly, help them bridge a gap. All the constituents of our program, we also cater to the mental health of an individual, which ultimately helps an individual in case of working executives to affirm their right goals, identify their negative emotions, and create positive affirmations. Flexible counseling help reinforce behavior needed to improve the quality of life. A buddy and mentor who becomes part of your growth journey. In case of university students, it helps them deal with relationships better and put the right perspective, identifies one's negative emotions and worries and creates positive affirmations. Flexible counseling help reinforce behavior needed to improve their quality of life. For school students, it helps them deal with relationship issues better and put the right perspective to what's needed. Flexible counseling help reinforce behavior needed to improve their quality of life. A buddy, mentor who becomes a part of their growth journey and understands them when and how it's needed. So, along with all our other constituents, mental health is also considered essential and the issues are catered to.
This is the clip from a live session that we have every Friday on Instagram. Various IGTV videos from our live sessions are available where our experts from various fields have shared their insights with us. Do check out our IGTV on Instagram for wonderful and insightful discussions on various topics ranging from relationship to mental health to leadership and career building.
Is there any such thing as a failed relationship?
Yeah, great question. I truly think no. I really think that relationships are a mirror of ourselves, and we basically see ourselves in relationships, right? So every relationship, from my experience working with clients as a relationship coach, has shown me that any type of relationship, no matter what the outcome, helps us to grow, become stronger, and also become closer to what we really want, right? Because oftentimes we don't really know. Like, it takes so many years and years to really know, and so many failures, so many challenges. So to me, there's really no failed relationship. I really believe that any relationship will make us stronger, will make us find our true self.
That was beautifully answered by you, Maike. So, yeah. So, very truly said, there's nothing such.
People say thoughts create reality. What are your thoughts and views on this? Can you explain?
Yeah, so this is like a well-known quote everywhere. People used to say thoughts create reality, especially when people believe in law of attraction. They say that thoughts create reality, and it is true. Basically, what we are thinking about something in, like, at least for the majority of the time in a day, for example, like 8 to 10 hours, if you're thinking about a particular thing, that's how your belief system gets wired. So according to your thought, your belief system forms a pattern, and based on your belief system is how you act in your everyday life. So if you're believing about something, that's how you react to certain situation. And so that's how everyone says that thoughts create reality, because your thoughts are going to it's going to be a major part for your belief system, and your belief system is based on how you how you react and respond to it. So it all is interconnected, and that's why your thoughts create reality. So you have to be really tracking.
During these tough times, I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. I welcome each one of you to another webinar session by Mentor Mitr. After the completion of the webinar, you can receive your e-certificate. The steps to avail the e-certificate are as follows. Attend the complete webinar. Once you see thank you displayed on the screen, there will appear a link to Google Attendance form in the chat box. Click to mark your attendance and get the feedback form emailed. Fill the questionnaire that you receive in your mail for the details. Follow our page on Instagram and Facebook. If the above stated steps are followed, an e-certificate will be automatically mailed to you. Kindly note that the certificates will be mailed in 24 to 48 hours. Can you
just a second, not to interrupt, but we can't see the rest of the screens. Ishank, can you move ahead? The next one. Yeah, this one.
Mentor Mitr is a mentoring organization. Our aim is to guide individuals wherever they are in their journey of career development and help them learn life skills to manage complex situations while enhancing their academic performance to optimal. Our involvement helps students to set the right goals and enables them to define and manage their priorities as well as enhance their EQ. Once again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's webinar session on interview skills and strategies. Get your dream job. This session will be led by established professionals, Ms. Kriti Jain and Mr. Sunil Kalra. And audience, please feel free to leave your questions in the chat box and we will try to answer them in the Q&A session in the end. So our first speaker for the day is Kriti ma'am. She's an HR professional, soft skills trainer, internationally certified career coach, and founder of the Skills Space. She has worked with companies like Tech Mahindra, SR Group, Magnum Group, having a total of 12 years of rich experience in HR and training and development. She's passionate about training and helping freshers and young professionals to accelerate their career growth by developing their skills. Welcome, ma'am, and thank you so much for joining us. I would now request ma'am to please enlighten our audience.
Hello, everyone. Ritu, can you hear me?
Yeah, ma'am, I can hear you.
All right, great. Thank you so much for having me here. And I welcome everyone, all the audience of Mentorment. And thank you for having me for this wonderful session of interview skills and strategies. Now, everybody, the purpose of our education lies in getting a job or doing a business, right? Most of us look for a job, and once you graduate, you're a fresh graduate, or even your experience, there's a lot of people who find it difficult to clear these interviews, right? Now, what is things that you can prepare, what you can prepare, in what manner you can prepare, which will help you to get this process clear, easier, and you would land with your dream job. I would request the host to please go with the slides. Okay. So now when you start preparing for interview, there are 5 steps that you need to take care. As soon as you know that you're ready to go for a job and you will be applying for a lot of jobs out there. So what you're supposed to do, mark these 5 steps and start preparing this way. Number 1 is self-evaluation. As soon as you know that you want to go out for a job, evaluating your own self. Now, in this step, what you're supposed to do is just have a recall or a flashback of what you have done till date. The courses that you have studied, the subjects that you have studied, the webinars, seminars, workshops, expert lectures that you have attended, a lot of activities you might have participated in school and colleges. Just recall all those. This will help you understand what you're good at, what your skills are, what your strengths and weaknesses are. What are the areas that you can improve on, right? While you do this flashback, this will actually help you to understand yourself better. That are you even ready for the job or not? While doing all this process, you would understand that what are the good areas that you have, which you can be confident about, and what are the areas where you can improve on, right? This self-evaluation actually helps you in your interview preparation. So once you have done your self-evaluation, you know what your good points, what your skills at, what are your selling points, right? The area of improvements. The second step comes with a very important document which everybody or every interviewee have is resume. This is a 1-page or maximum 2-page document which you're supposed to produce when you go for an interview. Now, while you do your self-evaluation, you recall what skills you have, the things that you have done till date, will act as a base to build your resume. The information that you have gathered in your self-evaluation step, you can present this information in a very structured way in your resume because that's your selling points, right? You just cannot put random things on your resume. So when you do a self-evaluation, ensure that you note it down in a copy, right? Make points that what you have done. Is this valid? Is it good point to show to my recruiter? Will this fetch me a job or not? When you get answer to all these questions, ensure that you structure all this information put in your resume. Along with your resume, the other important documents that you should make sure that you have in place are all your mark sheets, your ID cards, certificates, any testimonial that you have received, any letter of appreciation that you have received through your internships or any projects through your teachers. Ensure that you have all those in one place, so that when you go for an interview, in case the recruiter asks for, you have them handy and you can produce them immediately, right? The next step is once you're done with your self-evaluation and all your documents and resume, you know you're going to apply for a job. So for each job that you apply, In short, before you go and appear for the interview, you know that company and the job profile well. You can do a little research about that company, or you can Google them. You can find their pages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Just get some information about their company, what they deal in, what their new products are going to be, what are the programs they're launching, or what they're basically doing, right? And also with the help of a JD. JD is a job description which you get for the job that you're applying for, which states all the roles and responsibility that potential candidate should be doing. So go through that job description, understand that what you are expected to do in that particular job. Now, while you do the research these two things about the company and about the job profile, this will help you to prepare your answers for the interview round. Right? Because if any question which is relevant to the company, if they ask you, what do you know about a company? Or what do you know about the job that you're applying for? So because you have researched, you'll be more confident and you have that information to give it to them, right? So this becomes very important steps while you're preparing for the interview. Never just go blank and knowing nothing about that company or job. There are chances that you won't get selected. So ensure you follow this step. The next step comes in mock preparation. Now, you go and Google it, you would find n number of common questions that every interviewer asks. One being, tell me something about yourself, tell me about your academic performances, tell me about the projects you have done, internships that you have done. These are few common questions which you might get asked in your interview. So why don't you prepare for these questions beforehand, right? Prepare a structured answer for these questions. I, being an HR, have experienced a lot many times that a lot of students, freshers, or even experienced people are not able to answer the very simple question, tell me something about yourself. Because you think that, okay, I know everything about myself and I'll be able to deliver this answer well, but it doesn't happen that way. So ensure that you have a structured information to give in this question. You just cannot give random information in the question, tell me something about yourself. Just write it down, structure what is important, what you have to say and what you don't have to say, eliminate all those information from your answer, right? In a similar fashion, prepare for all the common questions that an interviewer may ask you. And keep practicing that for a day or two. This will give you more confidence, give you more fluency, and there are chances that you would do less mistakes. Last step here in the preparation of interview is prepare for offline, online, and phone interviews. Now, because as everybody is experiencing this pandemic, we're working from home, we're connecting virtually right now even. So there are chances that you may have any of these three modes of interview. If things are good, you may be called for an offline interview in the office. So prepare accordingly for that. Just check the place where you're supposed to do the venue. Track the time by what you'll be taking to travel to that place. Ensure that you start early, you dress well up, you dress appropriately, formally, in a decent dress, right? Reach there before time. Take all your documents along with you. Make a checklist that what you're supposed to do while you're going for that interview, for an offline interview, right? When you're connecting online for an interview, ensure that you have a well-lit room, the lighting is proper, you have a proper setup of mobile phone or a laptop with better sound and quality. There's no disturbance in the background. Inform your family members that you're going to appear for an online interview, right? So prepare accordingly that, okay, you would have an online interview, you would know that this is the time that you'll be appearing for the online interview. So prepare for that. Now the third is phone interview. Usually the preliminary rounds or the last round happens on telephone. So when, obviously when you are applying for a job, you're expecting a call from them. So ensure when you get a call from them, you go to a place where you're able to talk properly. There's a place which is quiet. There's no disturbance in the background. There's no noise in the background, so that you can talk properly, you can communicate well. Otherwise, there would be a lot of disturbance and you won't be able to hear them properly, and that would create a negative and a bad impression. So ensure you prepare beforehand for all the three types of interviews. All right. So I hope you remember these 5 steps while you're preparing for interviews. Number 1, do the self-evaluation. This will help you in step 2, which is building your resume and other documents. Then knowing about which company you're applying for and the kind of job that you're applying for. Prepare the common questions, prepare a structured answer for them and prepare them so that this will help you bring more fluency and confidence in you. And last, prepare for 3 modes: offline, online, and telephonic interview. Next slide, please. Now, before the interview, you have done certain preparation. There are a few things you need to keep in mind while you are giving an interview and also when you are done with the interview. Just preparing before the interview is not enough. You need to be very mindful when you are actually there for the interview, right? So what are the things that you need to keep in mind while you're giving that interview? So number 1 is always remember, first impression always counts. So ensure that you create a very good first impression. Now, when you're appearing online, obviously this is a small window that you'll be able to see that candidate for the interview, right? Ensure you have proper light, you're dressed well, you look smart, you look good, keep a smile on your face. Similarly, when you go for an offline interview, ensure that you dress well formally, you walk properly, open the door, ask for permission, and greet them, right? Whatever first thing that you do creates an impression about it. So ensure whatever you're doing creates a good impression and gives a negative vibe or an impression to the recruiter. Right? Now, when your interview starts, ensure that you are very clear in your approach and very polite. You never know when your words go very blunt, you sound rude. You may think that, no, I have given a good answer, but maybe the choice of word that you have taken makes you sound blunt, right? So that's the reason when you prepare for the interview, when the mock preparation happens, when you rehearse for those answers, ensure that you choose the right word, which are very clear, which are very polite, all right? Next thing is be very mindful of your body language, how you're sitting, you're standing, are you fidgeting, are you playing with something, are you annoyed, are you looking up or down or sideways or whatever. Just look into the eyes, and when you're preparing for the online interview, look into the camera, right? So that shows more confidence, more engaging, and you build a connection with the recruiter. When we communicate with people, our words have lesser weightage than the body language. Non-verbal communication that we do has a greater impact on people. So ensure that whatever non-verbal messages that you're giving, be it through your body language, through your gestures, posture, are all positive. This can only be done when you're prepared for it. Next is know your resume. In your preparation, you have prepared a resume. That's a document which every interviewer prepares, right? Now, a lot of people just write a random things on your resume and they themselves do not know how to defend those things. Like suppose, for example, you write, my hobbies are reading books. So interviewer may ask you, what is the last book that you have read? And you have no answer to that. So don't do such stuff. Obviously, understand that recruiters are more smarter than you. They're experienced, okay? So do not just write things which you do not know. If you have written, ensure that if you're being asked about that, you are ready to answer. Similarly, with the project thing that you write, your education, anything that you write is relevant, you know it, and you're able to answer anything asked about it. Next is listen to the questions before answering. Don't be in a hurry. Don't be very in rush or quick. You don't let the recruiter complete the question. You assume and then you start giving the answer. Don't do such things. Listen to them carefully. You can take a second pause, understand, and then reply, which is a better way rather than just abruptly cutting them and just replying to what you think. Right? So don't do this. Communication, there's a one rule that you also need to listen to people. So ensure that you listen to the recruiter very well and then give your answers, right? Last is ask thoughtful questions and keep things at professional level. Now, during or towards the end of the interview, there are chances that recruiter may ask you that, do you have any question for us? So here you have a very good opportunity to show your intellect, to show how smart you are, how sensible you are. So always ask thoughtful questions, like questions about your growth, maybe your job role, maybe the location that you'll be working in, right? And such questions would tell them that you are more interested in the job and the role that you'll be playing, right? So always ask very thoughtful questions, which would create a better impression. And keep things at professional level, a very important tip. A lot of the time it happens that recruiter becomes very friendly with you, just to probe things and get the real side of you. You don't get into that flow and start giving out information which is not necessary. Don't do that. Always talk in a professional manner, only give relevant information and do not get too personal while you are giving that interview. Once you're done with the interview, what things you need to keep in mind? Number one is always thank when you're doing an offline interview. When you're giving an offline interview, thank the recruiter there itself, or when you're giving an online interview, thank them. You can also write an email to them. Give me a minute. My apologies for this. So when you're done with the interview, you may write a thank you email to the recruiter for giving you an opportunity for this interview. Or you may just drop a letter. Letters are usually not very common these days. We use emails. So you can write a thank you email to them. Now, in your interview, there are chances that the recruiter may ask you for references. So when you give references, ensure you inform the reference or the people whom they've given as a reference that, okay, you might get a call for my reference, right? Otherwise, they would randomly get a call from the company and they would not know they need to recommend you, right? So ensure that you inform your references that you have given an interview in XYZ company and they might call you for your reference check. Last, if you do not get any call or reply from the recruiters, after 48 hours, you can contact them. You can wait for 48 hours to 72 hours and you can contact them to check for your selection status. All right. Next slide, please. Now, once you're done with all the interviews, there are a few mistakes. I've listed down 4 or 5 mistakes, which a lot of people do, which makes your interview in a negative light, and there are chances that you may get rejected. Number 1 is talking too much. Like earlier I said, don't get too personal. Keep it to a professional level. Do not give unnecessary, irrelevant information, and which can cause trouble, right? Never badmouth about anybody in the interview, be it your college, university, be it your previous employer, anybody, any sort of badmouthing is never considered good. So whatever bad experiences you had in your past, do not disclose them while you give an interview. This will never put you in good light, okay? Reciting script. A lot of times I've said that rehearse your interview, practice your answers. That does not mean that you recite those answers, right? Make it a little natural as if you're talking. Do not just recite the script in your interview, okay? That sounds very bad and that seems that you're not prepared at all. So practice in a way that it sounds more natural. Use your expressions, your hand movements, your facial expression to make it look more natural. Take the right pauses and this will, you'll be good to go. Next is fake information. Do not put any irrelevant information, fake information or wrong information in your resume, and also do not give any fake information while you are giving an interview. You might get caught and you might get blacklisted, right? So this is a big no. No data fudging, no wrong information on your resume and while giving answers. This will never fetch you a job. Even by mistake you get a job, maybe in reference check you might get caught and that would put you on the blacklist. So don't do that ever. Asking wrong questions. Like I said, towards the end of the interview, the interviewer may ask you that, do you have any question for us? Here, a lot of you create a negative impression by asking wrong questions like, sir, what would be my salary? Sir, when can I join? Don't ask such questions. Rather, ask thoughtful questions about your job role, about the responsibility, about the kind of work, probably the kind of growth you may expect, the company culture, anything about company's future project. You may ask such questions, right? So don't do such common mistakes which can ruin the entire good answers that you have given in your interview. Next slide, please. Now, like I said, when you talk, when you communicate, the non-verbal part plays a very important role. I said first impression counts, right? So ensure that you dress properly. Why proper dressing, or what is the power of dressing? There's a quote which I've written here, which I like the most, is by an American costume designer who says, you can have anything you want in life if you dress for it. When you dress for it, because that actually means that you're prepared for it, right? When you're prepared for it, there are high chances that you would achieve those things. Be it anything, be it your interview, any goal that you have for your life, any target that you set for your own self. If you're dressed for it, that means if you're prepared for it, you would automatically get it. So ensure, well, this power dressing reflects your personality. That tells them how sensible you are, how critically or important this interview is for you. Everybody knows how we're supposed to dress. Dress formally, wear subtle colors, formal dress. Anything which looks decent, do not wear shiny, gaudy clothes, a lot of jewelry, fancy hairstyles. Don't do all that stuff. These are for parties, celebrations, and not for interview. So ensure that you wear decent, formal attire while you go for an interview. Create that first very good impression, which is an everlasting impression as well. Make it heard without words, right? So when you're dressed well, it speaks a lot about who you are, how sensible you are, what kind of personality you have. It talks a lot about you. So ensure, without even, before you begin an interview, your dress up, your attire gives them a sense that yes, you are the right person. So ensure that you dress well. And I'm sure that by following all those tips, you will be able to crack your interview very well. Thank you so much. That's all from my side.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your experiences and valuable advice. Surely everyone listening to it is more informed on this topic. We would reconnect with you during the Q&A session at the end.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Now we would like to introduce you to the Mentor Mitr courses that is available. It is for working professionals, for school students, and for university level students. So programs for working professionals, there is a time tracker, which is one of the features of a program, how to access the program. So Mentor Mitr spirit and endeavor is to engage with the working people and help them improve their current performances, enhance motivational level, help them plan their short-term goals and long-term goals, enhance their EQ, and help them have better control over work-life balance and eventually success. So this test is entirely research-based and used across the world and have been developed by experts with many years of experience and practice. So there is a counseling session as well. This is extremely unique feature which provide you to 2 structured sessions for 1 hour each and some 8 to 15 minutes counseling session for course correction, motivation, and for solving negative feelings and situations. There is also a program for university level students. Programs for university level students are designed to identify their tracks for the future, whether they want to work and grow in the field of study or both. Our digital programs will help you to make informed choices that are duly evaluated, know your options clearly, and optimize your efforts to achieve your long-term and short-term goals. So there is also a counseling session for university level students, and for programs for school students. These programs are designed to ensure that all integral focus areas in a student's career development journey are met and also help them be successful in habit formation for optimization of the performance and in the immediate future by scientific and continuous self-evaluation. So there is a counseling session. Next slide, please. Next slide. So now the second speaker for the day is Sunil sir. Sunil Kalra is a professional who has experience in global roles in the domain of human resources. He has a demonstrated history of delivering results in the pharmaceuticals, IT, and consumer goods industry in India and global locations. He has set up multi-million dollar P&Ls, and has 25 plus years of experience in corporate. Aside from his professional pursuits, he is an engineer with education in numerous fields, including law, economics, human resource, and corporate governance. Welcome, sir, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. Thanks for the brief introduction. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for inviting me again. This is a beautiful topic that I love talking about. As part of my job, in last 32 years of my career in HR, this is one thing which I have professed with full religiousness, actually. As part of my job, I feel it important that anybody who comes to my company, who works for us, has at least gone through an interview with me. So interviewing is a very important process. It's naturally an interaction between a candidate who's aspiring for a job and the interviewer who works on behalf of the employer to find the right profiles for the company. So as part of Deepak Fertilizers, where I work now, what we have in a company is a foundation, actually, which trains people in new skills, in engineering skills. And as part of their course curriculum, what we do is we give them one exposure of mock interview. And the whole purpose is that while they undergo a 4 or 5 months training, that improves their knowledge, that improves their skill. But what they don't get is who's going to interview them and who's going to give them job. And that's a very different ball game. So as part of our CSR foundation that we have within the company, we volunteer a few high-ranking managers who are at GM and AVP level, who go out to our foundation, which is in another building in Pune, and help the candidates hone their skills around interviewing process. The other type of interviews that generally are conducted in a company are campus interviews. Every year, every company, which is a successful company, hires people from campus. It could be engineering students. It could also be MBA graduates. And that's a very detailed process which generally runs for about 3 to 4 months in any company. And that has several parts to it. It could have a pre-placement talk talking about the company and what it does, what kind of business is it into, and what has been the journey of the company so far. It also sometimes makes use of a tool which is a psychometric profile, whereby generally you get a good idea of the persona of the person and his attitudes and all. And the interviewing process in that case is simpler because you are simply calibrating the facts that you already have and the academic qualifications which are in the form of a resume that you can read through. So that's the campus that happens in most of the companies, including Deepak Fertilizers, where I work. The other two interviews are more important. If there is a literal job opportunity in the company, that's where company reaches out to recruiters, search consultants to find out the right profiles. And for that, what company generally does is it rolls out a job description, which details not only about the job and the responsibilities that a person is supposed to carry. It also talks about the reporting relationships that the person will have in terms of who will be the boss of this person, who will be the peers of this person, and if it's a senior enough role, then how many people will report into this role. This is an important piece of document. Generally, I have seen that people go through it and basis that sometimes they redraft their resume also. Make sure that you have gone through each and every word of this job description, because most of the discussion that happens during interview is based on this job description. What an interview generally is looking for the right fit according to job description. Because I am in HR and I support lots of functions. Functions could be corporate governance, function could be corporate affairs, it could be marketing, it could be sales. So I may have some knowledge about that function, and I may also have some knowledge about the products and services that my company offers. But I may not have the line level detail of the job description and the responsibilities the person is supposed to carry out. So for that, even I will refer to the job description the same way as the candidate himself is kind of referring to the job description. So as a strategy to crack an interview, it's very important that you go through this job description in detail and understand every aspect of it. Because over the interview, you will find that many of the questions are kind of moving around or hovering around this job description. The last one is about the promotion interviews. Promotion interviews are generally the most toughest. Why? Because these are within the same company where you have been working. Your knowledge of the job role and your knowledge of the next job role for which you have applied has to be optimal, because somebody is going to interview both in terms of your knowledge test as well as your attitudes and behaviors for the next level role. So promotion interviews by far are most difficult. And I have seen people kind of preparing for a number of days, sometimes running into 3 to 4 weeks also, taking help from their existing manager, taking help from their peers, and rightly so, because it's a matter of your career. And you cannot take promotion interviews lightly, actually. Like the previous speaker said, if you are really serious about a job or an opportunity, the one thing that you should definitely do is go through in detail about the company. There are lots of details about the companies to which you generally apply. The easiest ones are the company's balance sheets and P&Ls, because these are published every quarter. And while this gives you objective details about the company, alongside there are also subjective details about the vision of the company, the mission of the company. Like our company speaks a lot about CSR. And in that, we also talk about our foundation, which renders a good service to people. Likewise, other companies also, like IT companies, speak a lot about their customers. They speak a lot about the big deals they have cracked. They also talk about the new expansion areas. It's very important. So alongside job description, you also read a lot about the published material of that company. That will help you prepare very seriously about the job that you're looking for. And you can also see how best you are going to align your answers to the themes that company is proposing. So for example, again, going back to Deepak Fertilizers, we are primarily into 3 areas of business. One is fertilizers. We convert petrochemicals into fertilizers. And the other one is into chemicals which are used in hospitals, like your hand sanitizers. And the third one is a triammonium nitrate, which is an explosives business. I also take care of that business as part of my responsibility. Now, once you read about explosives, it's very different. The first impression that comes to your mind is very different. But if you go through the company literature and the published material, you will realize that these explosive materials are used in coal mining to do controlled blasts in the mines. They're also used in tunneling operations in India. And once the road network has to be expanded, obviously there are mountains which come in between, and you have to kind of do tunneling operations. Again, you have to do controlled blasts. Now, the moot point here is that if you read the company literature, you will find that company is aligned to the infrastructure vision of the government, of the Prime Minister and of the NHAI Minister. Why this exposure is important? Because there is no other way you can make a road through the mountain. The only thing that you can do is do tunneling of that mountain, create a tunnel in and let the road pass through it. And for that, you need high scientific solutions like explosives and controlled blasts. So all that is done by the company. Now, if someone is interested in research and development of that part, or in marketing or infrastructure, will have to go through it. There are latest science and technologies like drones operations, like colored imaging of the blast site, etc., because that throws a lot of data post-blast. And the whole blasting solution is videographed so that you can sell it to the next customers. So once you read through that, you get a lot of insight about the company and how far the company has gone. And if you are an explosives graduate, having worked in another company for 5 to 10 years, and you want to make a move into this company, good preparation around what this company does, how this company does, what are the latest technologies involved, will put you in the right stead. Because you can very well then imagine what kind of questions will be asked by the company expert around this field. Likewise, to just give you another example, we are into industrial chemicals. So far in India, most of the hand sanitizers are made out of ethanol, which is a byproduct of sugarcane. And those are used in hospitals and in retail market also. But our company produces a different kind of hand sanitizer, which is made up of IPA, industrial level propyl alcohol. And though there is only 10% market, but actually it's a more expensive product and it's a more potent product. And most of it finds its way in the hospitals. So if someone is interested in IPA kind of market, it will be good for him to go through the company's published material and read more about it, read a comparison between how an ethanol-based hand sanitizer works and how an IPA-based hand sanitizer works. So that gives good insights about the product, about how you are going to kind of make out your answer. And if you're applying for an R&D kind of a role, what new products can be made out of the raw material that we have, which is ammonia, which is nitrate, which is petrochemicals, and which is polypropylene alcohol, etc. So that is the beauty of studying the company material. Go prepared, read a lot. Now, like I said, an interview is a formal interaction. It's an interactive conversation between two individuals, and they have their formal roles. One person has to ask the question, the other person has to answer. Generally, the time limit for interviews is anything from 45 minutes to 1 hour, depending on the seniority of the role. A very, very average time budgeted for any interaction is about 45 minutes. So in your mind, if you are an interviewee, make sure that you are going to get 50% of this time. Now it's up to you to use this 50% of the time for the best of your knowledge, and how do you kind of make use of this to envisage your career in here. So generally in this interaction, you will find there are some very generic questions. These are common across all the companies, but the answer has to be specific. So the general question, the first one that I generally ask is, tell me about your career journey so far, because generally I interview people who have 10 to 15 years of experience, and obviously they have worked in at least 3 to 4 companies. So the idea is to know how the career journey of that person progressed. So the best way is to answer from the last one first, actually, because that's something which is current in your mind, about which you can speak quickly, which is most relevant also, because generally when the recruiters search the profiles, they look out for relevant profiles from the same industry or from the same job type. So the conversation is always very easy, and you are speaking from your own source of truth. You don't have to make up for any answer, because it's a very, very generic question saying, tell me about your career journey. And while you're speaking about your career journey, the answer has to be well rehearsed, of course, but make sure that you are succinct in your answer. You don't have to kind of use 5 to 6 minutes to explain your career journey. You genuinely have to invoke interest in the interviewer. And for that, give short pauses in between to see what is the reaction of the interviewer. So in earlier days, the interviews used to happen in person about 2 years back. In last 2 years, most of the interviews are following this virtual medium. Even then, it's preferred that the video on both sides is on, both from the interviewee side as well as interviewer side. And obviously, while you're speaking and making the eye contact, you can know whether you're generally invoking the interest in the interviewer or not. And for that, you give short pauses in between. And obviously, then letting the other person get into the discussion, whereby if he feels that he can make out the part of the answer that you're going to give, he can kind of supplement it with another question. And that may be more interesting to you also. And that may also give you some breather, because the thought process then suddenly will move to the next source of truth about your company, or about your job role, or about your reporting relationship, or about your products. And it's always easier to speak about those things, which has a very common source of truth actually. Then you're not making up for words or making up for any abstract thinking at that spur of the moment. The other question generally I ask, and it's a very genuine question and has to be asked by any interviewer, is why would you like to work with us? Why would you like to join our company? And that's where you go back to your preparedness basically around it. Because once you are well read about this company, then you know what are the product sector you are talking about. You can also interview your answer saying, if you are in a smaller company and this is a bigger company, then you can say that it was my dream to kind of move to a bigger company in a bigger role, which you are offering me. And that's why I'm interested. It also gives you your relationship with the person you are going to work with. So if you are working in a smaller role in a company like an executive, reporting into a manager, but in the new company, you are being offered the role of a manager reporting into a deputy general manager, then you can very well cite that saying, I see it as a career growth because so far I have been working as an executive for 3 to 5 years in my previous company. But now the role that you are offering me is of manager, and this will report into a DGM. So I see my career growing when I join your company. So that makes a very relevant answer, and that does not need to be a very long winding answer. Like I said, the answers have to be succinct. Time is precious. Time is precious both for you as well as the interviewer. So make best use of the time, and you don't have to fill the time. If you are told in the beginning, like there is a 45 minutes conversation, it doesn't mean that you have to fill 45 minutes. And it doesn't mean that by just answering 2 or 3 questions, you will fill the time and you will be successful. No, you will be successful only if the interviewer feels that he has exhausted all the questions that he wanted to ask. He has got to know more about the person in terms of person's knowledge, as well as persona, as well as attitude. And once that conversation is over, you will also get to know that the conversation is over. He has asked all the questions. He has got all the facts that he wanted to know about me, about my job, about my career aspirations. And only then it will be deemed that the interview was complete as well as successful. The third thing generally that I ask, especially from those people who have 10 to 15 years of experience or more. Sometimes I interview people with 20 to 25 years of experience also. And once you are interviewing someone with 20 to 25 years of experience, then they are in the age bracket of 50 plus years also. So from mid-manager onwards, you want to know as to how do you envisage your career over next 3 to 5 years. Now, there is an intent behind this question, and you should know whether you are an interviewer or interviewee. It works for both of you. Generally, 3 to 5 years is considered as a strategic period, both for the company as well as your own career. So if you have a good image of yourself as to how far do you want to go in next 5 years, And with that, how far you can grow your business based on your knowledge and exposure in the previous jobs. If you can kind of express that in a very nice way, which other person can understand, then that makes a good pitch. That's how you sell yourself. So the beauty of this is don't oversell yourself. Don't promise something that you can't do, which means that you are also not sure of your own source of truth. But also don't undersell yourself, because the career is made up of 25 to 30 years, sometimes 32 years. So you have to achieve whatever you have to achieve in this one life that God has given you. So you can promise as much as you can deliver, and you can commit whatever you can deliver by saying that this is what I have learned so far in my career journey of last 20, 25 years. This is my sweet spot where I can deliver the best results in any field. It can be your field of R&D, it can be your field of marketing, it can be your field of sales, it can be your field of accounting, it can be your field of treasury, any business. But the number of years you have put behind it and the kind of exposure you have gained by interacting with many people comes out when you're speaking about this 3 to 5 years time horizon as to where you see your career. And the beauty and the passion behind the answer generally tilts the scale in your favor. I am very keen to hear people when I ask them this question. And I am very keen to hear both their words as well as their body language and the passion with which they kind of speak, because these are the people who decide the fate of the company. The passionate people are the ones who decide the fate of the company. So very important question. Just remember that once somebody is asking you this question, that's your gold nugget actually, which is going to win you the job. While I'm telling you all the positives, I also see sometimes that people come out with innate negative traits. We are into professional interactions with people around us, whether it's your previous job or the new job that you're going to get. So make sure that you keep your tone and your words very, very neutral. Those should not be loaded words, and there should not be any loaded emotions behind it. So one thing I would caution everyone is that never say that I left that job while you're talking about your career journey because I did not like my boss. That cannot be a right answer. Everybody is human, right? Your perception of someone does not decide whether you are right. So don't give that as an answer, because like I said, the person is not judging you only for your knowledge. Person is also judging you for your persona and the aura that you carry and the attitude that you have, whether you have the self-righteous attitude saying I am all right, everybody else is wrong around me. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work in the professional circle for sure. So you have to say that, what should you say in that case? You have to say that the company was not growing at that phase in time. And that's where I felt that I had to make a career move because I had to make a career, right? Or the company was running into losses for continuous period of 1 to 2 years. And that's where I felt that company is not even able to offer increments to employees' salaries. And that's where I thought that I had to leave. So that's the right approach to kind of giving the right answer. The other thing that I would like to tell you, and has been touched upon earlier also, that you have to thank the interviewer at the end. It's both ways generally. While the interview kind of generally starts with giving a brief introduction about the company and about the person who's interviewing you, it also closes with a formal thanks note, and it could be a 2-line thanks note saying, thank you very much for the opportunity given to me, and I look forward to working with you. And that's a good formal way of closing an interview. The last thing is very important. As soon as the interview is over, you will find that the next steps are kind of initiated by the company, the interviewer or the recruiter, which generally is about reference check. And reference check generally is not about the referees that you are kind of naming. Reference check generally happens with the previous company where you worked. And generally it follows through the very very formal channels whereby it reaches out to the HR person or HR manager of that company. Just make sure that you never leave any company with rough edges behind, because that can cut you sharply again. And sometimes when everything else has gone right in your favor in terms of the company that you chose, the kind of interview you got, the kind of answers that you gave, and hopefully you clicked that interview also and the company was about to make an offer, but the reference check process kind of derails the whole thing. That could be because of your one wrong conversation at the end while leaving that company, or one heated conversation with the previous company. Don't do that. Never leave any rough edges behind. Never leave anything open-ended in the previous company. Close all the formalities, close everything, and then make a move. That will always keep you in the right pedestal, basically, to make a career move that you're looking for. So that's what I had, both in terms of the relevance as well as the experiential learning that I have around interviewing process. And I believe that you got some right messages out of the conversation that we had today. So I would thank you for this opportunity today, and I'll pause my words here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable insights. It has been very enriching, and people will definitely inculcate your valuable points in the future interviews. Now, we would like to proceed to the Q&A session with our audience. So, my first question is for ma'am. How to maintain your composure during a job interview?
That's a nice question. Now, interview always gives you that jitter, that always creates that nervousness that everybody has, right? But preparing that for beforehand, the things that you are, the common question that an interviewer may ask you, know things about your resume, what you have written, know a little about your own self better in your self-evaluation part, right? This would make you prepared for the interview, for the kind of question that's being asked. And then while you're giving an interview, be mindful about the way you speak, be a little calm. If you're feeling nervous, take deep breaths, relax yourself. Be very conscious about the way you're sitting, how your body, is your body moving or just relaxed. So by just having a quick check on what you're doing, the way you're sitting, are you prepared or not? Do you have all your documents in place or not? This will bring you more confidence and give you a more calm and composure experience there.
Thank you, ma'am. So one of our audience asked a question. So, sir, my next question is for you. What to do, or how are we going to respond if the interviewer asks a question that we aren't prepared to answer or to which we don't have an answer?
Right. This I have seen very common in R&D jobs, actually. R&D jobs are very varied, actually. And generally, people spend a whole lot of time in previous companies just doing one thing, which is very relevant to that company. It may not be immediately relevant to the next company like ours. But then it's not necessary that you should make up for an answer, because you can't. In R&D jobs where I generally hire people with PhD degree and all. So if someone has worked on molasses in an A company in Gajraula, for example, and they also are into ethanol business, but he wants to move to our company, which is a petrochemical based company. The basic science, organic chemistry would be same, right? The way things happen in research labs would also be same. The kind of equipment that you use would also be same, but you may not know the exact chemistry about which the question has been asked. So it's very common to say that while this question is relevant, and since I do not have exposure to your company as of now, what I can tell you about what I do, which is related to this product, is like this. And once you set the context and the interviewer is ready to listen to that, you can proceed with your answer, because the interviewer generally has more experience, obviously, and he might have experience of working in 2-3 other companies also. So sometimes they are able to relate. He may not have worked in a sugarcane molasses company. You have not worked in a petrochemical company. but then R&D job is such that he's looking for a person like you, and you should be self-assured about it while kind of giving an answer. Like I said, interview never is about knowledge test. You cannot test the knowledge of a PhD. PhD is a PhD, right? Everybody knows that. Or maybe even MSc, MTech graduates, they are like the upper crust basically. So nobody can test your knowledge, be sure. What person is looking for the relevance of your knowledge to the job that he has on hand. Also at the same time is looking for the attitude and persona. The attitude is very important, whether you can do something or not, whether you can deliver something or not, whether you can commit something or not. So all those things come out when an open conversation happens. So I hope that answers.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So my next question is for ma'am. How can we improve our interviewing skills while we are at home?
Right. This pandemic has just limited boundaries of moving out. But then you have this internet. Like I said, like a lot of tips given by me and sir, that what you can do. Research a little more about it. And there are a few common questions that every interviewer will ask you. Now they would, like right now, sir said that they don't test your intelligence or your knowledge, but they test how relevant you are for the job that you're applying for. Look for those information, prepare a set of questions that you may be asked for, and start preparing answers for them. The common mistake which I found being in HR, a lot of people know that what is the question that being asked, but they don't prepare for the answers. Now they have a list of questions that they would be asked about in the interview, but they don't prepare how to answer those questions. So you can just rightly prepare answer for those questions. Like suppose if they ask you about the project that you worked on, so how would you narrate that answer? If they ask you about your previous experience with the company, so what all information you have to give, right? So prepare your answer in a structured manner where you give relevant information will help you improve your skills. I hope that have answered the question.
Yes, ma'am. So my last question to sir. What is the most important interview skill according to you?
Interview skill in terms of the interviewer or interviewee?
So interviewer.
Interviewer. So like I said, generally people expect interviewee to go prepared. Interviewer also has to go prepared. Because generally I have seen it's not one interview in a day. When you are taking interview, you are generally taking 2 to 3 interviews in a day because you generally shortlist profiles. And when you are taking interviews, you kind of subslot the right kind of profiles one after the other. So as an interviewee, you should know that there are 3 or 4 candidates that this interviewer is going to interview. So as an interviewer, you have to kind of take notes because you will have to compare the notes at the end of the day to go back to the search consultant saying, why did you like an A person and not the B person? And that has to be, again, very, very succinct from the interviewer's point of view. There are objective parameters. There are generally interview sheets that companies have. So fill those things religiously. It's not that I have experience of 30 years, so I can scribble notes on the profiles of the people and my job is done. No, I never ever do that. I never scribble my notes on the resumes of the people. I always fill either a sheet, interview sheet, or I always write my notes on an email. And generally I write the question and then I write the answer saying, what did I ask as a question and what was the answer? And basis that, what is my opinion? Generally, I also budget a slot of about 15 to 30 minutes in between 2 interviews because the thoughts are generally current actually in your mind as soon as you have closed one interview. And it's always good to make note of that instead of waiting till the last person, because then things can get messed up. Plus, everybody is busy through the day in many other things also. So it's always good to slot all the interviews in the first half or second half with time gap in between, making good notes, and everybody is answerable for his job. So if I take interview, I am answerable for my interviews actually. So whether it's a search consultant outside or my corporate search head, so I have to kind of give good answers to that person. So that's for the interviewer.
Thank you so much, sir. With this, we come to the end of the session. I would like to thank all our speakers as well as the audience for giving us your time and support. Thank you for attending and engaging in today's session with us. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am, for joining us. This is a self-help app. You can download it you can scan the QR code, as well as there is a link to download it from the Play Store. Next slide, please. Now presenting our app Mentor Mitr. The app is available on Play Store. You all can download the app only on Android. The download is free of cost. Programs are paid. App is available in India, Philippines, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Italy, Malaysia, Nepal, Russia, Spain, and Thailand. It will be launched in other countries soon. Kindly download our app and get help in your career. If you have any queries with the app, please feel free to contact us or drop an email at contact@mentormitr.com or events@mentormitr.com. Next slide, please. Now, I would like to repeat the steps to avail the e-certificate. Attend the full webinar. Once you see thank you displayed on the screen, there will appear a link to Google attendance form in the chat box. Click to mark your attendance and get the feedback form emailed. Fill the questionnaire that you receive on your mail for the details. Follow a page on Instagram and Facebook. If the above stated steps are followed, an e-certificate will be automatically mailed to you. You can contact us through any of the above mentioned platforms with your questions, feedback, and suggestions. Thank you.